Before you start watching, please help the channel thrive. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment if you relate to anything or want to dive into some topics together. Alucard's vision of a world without night is not an isolated idea. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of mythology, religion, and literature that have shaped human thought for millennia. To fully understand the depth and significance of his prophecy, we must trace these roots. We must explore the ancient myths that spoke of a battle between light and dark. We must examine the religious teachings that promised a kingdom of eternal light. We must analyze the literary works that explored the nature of good and evil. Alucard's vision is not just a product of his own experiences. It is a reflection of humanity's oldest and most enduring hopes and fears. It is a continuation of a conversation that has been ongoing for thousands of years. In this chapter, we will delve into the rich cultural and literary heritage that informs Alucard's prophecy. We will explore how myths from ancient civilizations, religious texts from around the world, and classic works of literature have shaped his vision of a world without night. We will see how these influences have come together to create a prophecy that is both timeless and timely, a vision that speaks to the universal human desire for peace and enlightenment. The ancient world was filled with myths that explored the struggle between light and dark. These myths, created by civilizations such as the Greeks, the Egyptians, and the Mesopotamians, sought to explain the natural world and the human condition. They portrayed light as a symbol of order, goodness, and life. They portrayed darkness as a symbol of chaos, evil, and death. For the ancient Egyptians, the sun god Ra was the embodiment of light and life. Each day, Ra would sail across the sky in his solar barge, bringing light to the world. Each night he would journey through the underworld, battling the forces of darkness to be reborn the next day. The Egyptians believed that this daily battle was essential to the survival of the world. They believed that if Ra ever failed to defeat the darkness, the world would be plunged into eternal night. Before we move on to the next topic, if you have anything you'd like to dive deeper into from the previous segment, please leave a comment below. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Alright, let's move on to the next topic. This myth resonated with Alucard. He saw in Ra's daily struggle a reflection of his own fight against the darkness of fear and hatred. He saw in Ra's rebirth a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the darkest night will eventually give way to dawn. Like Ra, Alucard was a warrior of light, fighting to ensure that the world would never be consumed by darkness. The ancient Greeks also had a rich tradition of myths involving the struggle between light and dark. The god Apollo, the sun god and the god of truth and reason, was a symbol of light and enlightenment. His twin sister Artemis, the moon goddess, represented the gentle light of night. The Greeks believed that Apollo's light brought order and reason to the world, while the darkness of night was associated with chaos and irrationality. The myth of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans, is particularly relevant to Alucard's vision. Prometheus's act of rebellion was an act of compassion. He gave humans the gift of fire, a symbol of light and knowledge, to help them survive and thrive. He was punished for his actions, but his gift changed the course of human history. Alucard saw himself as a modern-day Prometheus. He was giving humans the gift of understanding, a light that would help them overcome their fear of the unknown. He was challenging the gods of fear and hatred, and he was willing to suffer the consequences for his actions. Like Prometheus, Alucard believed that the gift of light was worth any sacrifice. The Mesopotamian myth of Marduk and Tiamat is another ancient tale that shaped Alucard's vision. Tiamat, the goddess of chaos and darkness, sought to destroy the world. Marduk, the god of light and order, fought Tiamat in a great battle. He defeated her, split her body into two, and used one half to create the sky and the other half to create the earth. Marduk's victory brought order to the world, and he became the ruler of the gods. This myth taught Alucard that darkness can be defeated, that order can be brought to chaos. It taught him that the struggle between light and dark is a necessary part of the world, but that light will always triumph in the end. Like Marduk, Alucard was a warrior of order, fighting to bring peace and harmony to a world torn apart by fear and hatred. Religious texts from around the world have also played a significant role in shaping Alucard's vision. Many religions promise a kingdom of eternal light, a place where there is no suffering, no death, no darkness. These promises have inspired humans for centuries, giving them hope in the face of adversity. For Christians, the book of Revelation describes a new heaven and a new earth, where there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for the Lord God giveth them light. This vision of a world without night is strikingly similar to Alucard's own prophecy. It is a vision of a world where darkness has been banished, where peace and harmony reign. Alucard, who was raised by a human mother who believed in God, was familiar with Christian teachings. He saw in the book of Revelation a reflection of his own desire for a better world. He saw that the idea of a world without night was not just his own, but a universal hope shared by many religions. Islam also has a tradition of promising a paradise of eternal light. The Quran describes Jannah, or paradise, as a place where therein is no darkness nor any ignominy. It is a place where the righteous will be rewarded with peace, happiness, and eternal life. This vision of paradise resonated with Alucard. He saw in Jannah a symbol of the world he was trying to create, a world where there is no darkness, no suffering, no ignominy. He saw that the desire for a world without night is a common thread that runs through many religions, a testament to the universal human longing for peace and enlightenment. Hinduism, with its concept of moksha, or liberation from the cycle of birth and death, also influenced Alucard's vision. Moksha is a state of pure consciousness, a state where the individual soul merges with the universal soul. It is a state of eternal light where there is no darkness, no suffering, no ignorance. Alucard saw in moksha a reflection of his own desire to break the cycle of violence and fear that had plagued humanity for centuries. He saw that the path to moksha, like the path to his world without night, requires compassion, wisdom, and selflessness. It requires letting go of hatred and fear and embracing love and understanding. Buddhism, with its teachings on enlightenment and the elimination of suffering, also shaped Alucard's vision. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment and ignorance. He taught that the path to enlightenment, the path to the elimination of suffering, is through the Eightfold Path: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Alucard saw in the Buddha's teachings a roadmap for creating his world without night. He saw that the suffering caused by fear and hatred arises from ignorance and attachment. He saw that the path to peace and understanding requires right view, seeing others as fellow beings, not as enemies. It requires right intention, wanting to help others, not harm them. It requires right speech, speaking with kindness and compassion, not with hatred and anger. It requires right action, acting with integrity and justice, not with cruelty and injustice. The Buddha's teachings reinforced Alucard's belief that his vision was not just a dream, but an achievable goal. It reinforced his belief that peace and understanding are possible, that the cycle of suffering can be broken. Classic works of literature have also had a profound influence on Alucard's vision. From the epic poems of Homer to the modern novels of Bram Stoker, literature has explored the struggle between light and dark, the nature of good and evil, and the human desire for peace and enlightenment. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey are filled with tales of heroes fighting against evil, of light triumphing over dark. These epics taught Alucard the importance of courage, honor, and compassion. They taught him that even in the face of great adversity, heroes can rise up and make a difference. They taught him that the fight for good is always worth it, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy is another work that shaped Alucard's vision. The Divine Comedy is a journey through hell, purgatory, and paradise. It is a vision of the afterlife, a vision of justice and redemption. Dante's paradise is a place of eternal light, where the righteous are rewarded with peace and happiness. This vision resonated with Alucard. He saw in Dante's paradise a reflection of his own world without night. He saw that the journey to paradise, like the journey to his world without night, is a difficult one. It requires overcoming sin and temptation. It requires redemption and forgiveness. But it is a journey worth taking. William Shakespeare's plays also explored themes that are central to Alucard's vision. Plays like Hamlet and Macbeth explore the nature of good and evil, the consequences of revenge, and the importance of morality. Shakespeare's characters are complex, often torn between good and evil. They remind us that no one is purely good or purely evil, that we all have the capacity for both. This insight reinforced Alucard's belief that humans and vampires are not inherently good or evil. It reinforced his belief that we all have the capacity to choose love over hate, to choose light over dark. Shakespeare's plays also taught Alucard the danger of revenge, the cycle of violence that it creates. They taught him that revenge is a form of darkness, a form of suffering that consumes both the avenger and the victim. This lesson was particularly relevant to Alucard, who had spent centuries fighting against his father's cycle of revenge. Bram Stoker's Dracula, as we have discussed earlier, is perhaps the most influential literary work on Alucard's vision. Stoker's novel portrayed Dracula as a monster, a symbol of evil and corruption, but it also explored the themes of fear, ignorance, and the struggle between light and dark. Alucard saw in Stoker's novel a reflection of his own world, a world where fear and ignorance lead to violence and hatred. He saw in Stoker's portrayal of Dracula a warning about the dangers of embracing darkness. He saw in the novel's heroes, Van Helsing, Jonathan Harker, Mina Harker, a reminder that even in the face of great evil, there are people who will stand up for what is right. Stoker's novel also taught Alucard the importance of community, of working together to fight against evil. The heroes of Dracula do not succeed alone. They succeed because they work together, because they trust each other, because they share a common goal. This lesson reinforced Alucard's belief that his vision of a world without night cannot be achieved by one person alone. It requires the efforts of many, working together in peace and harmony. The works of J.R.R. Tolkien, particularly The Lord of the Rings, also influenced Alucard's vision. Tolkien's epic tale of the struggle between good and evil, of the fight to destroy the One Ring, is a powerful metaphor for the struggle against darkness in the world. The One Ring, which represents the corruption of power, is a symbol of the darkness that Alucard has spent centuries fighting against. The heroes of The Lord of the Rings, Frodo, Sam, Aragorn, Gandalf, are symbols of the light that can overcome that darkness. They are ordinary people who rise up to do extraordinary things, who sacrifice their own happiness for the greater good. Alucard saw in Tolkien's heroes a reflection of himself and his followers. He saw that the fight against darkness is not just the responsibility of kings and warriors, but of every individual. He saw that even the smallest acts of courage and compassion can make a difference. Tolkien's message of hope, of the triumph of good over evil, reinforced Alucard's belief that his vision of a world without night is possible. The literary tradition of vampire fiction, beyond Stoker's Dracula, has also shaped Alucard's vision. Works like Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire and Stephen E. Meyer's Twilight series have portrayed vampires in a more nuanced light, exploring their emotions, their struggles, and their desire for connection. These works have challenged the traditional portrayal of vampires as purely evil, and they have helped to humanize them in the eyes of the public. Alucard saw in these works a reflection of his own mission. He saw that by telling the stories of vampires who are good, who want to live in peace, we can challenge the fear and hatred that have existed for centuries. He saw that literature has the power to change hearts and minds, to create empathy and understanding. The roots of Alucard's prophecy are deep and wide. They stretch back to the ancient myths of the first civilizations, to the religious texts that have guided humans for millennia, to the classic works of literature that have shaped our understanding of the world. These influences have come together to create a vision that is both timeless and timely. A vision that speaks to the universal human desire for peace, for understanding, for enlightenment. Alucard's vision of a world without night is not just his own. It is a vision that has been shared by humans throughout history. It is a vision that has been shaped by our greatest hopes and our deepest fears. It is a vision that reminds us that we are all connected, that we all share a common future. In the next chapter, we will explore the personal cost of Alucard's prophecy, the sacrifices he has made, the pain he has endured, and the loneliness that comes with being a visionary. We will see how his long life has affected him, how how he has coped with the loss of loved ones, and how he has remained true to his vision despite the personal cost. We will also explore the question of whether Alucard will ever live to see his prophecy fulfilled, whether he will ever get to experience the world without night that he has spent centuries fighting for. For now, we leave Alucard reflecting on the rich cultural and literary heritage that has shaped his vision. He knows that he is part of a long tradition of warriors of light, of visionaries who have fought against darkness and injustice. He knows that his vision is not just a dream, but a continuation of a conversation that has been ongoing for thousands of years. And he knows that as long as there are people who believe in this vision, as long as there are people who are willing to fight for it, the night will one day come to an end. The roots of Alucard's prophecy are a testament to the power of human imagination, the power of hope, and the power of storytelling. Myths, religions, and literature have the ability to shape our beliefs, to inspire our actions, and to connect us to each other across time and space. Alucard's vision of a world without night is a product of this power. It is a story that has been told and retold in different forms throughout history. It is a story that speaks to our deepest longing for peace and enlightenment. As we continue to explore Alucard's journey, let us remember the rich cultural and literary heritage that has shaped his vision. Let us remember that we are all part of this story, that we all have a role to play in creating a world without night. Because the story of light overcoming dark is not just Alucard's story. It is our story. It is the story of humanity.